myself, my campaign, and my position to the highest levels of integrity.
Wow, but then we started having call-offs, people just not showing up to work, people sleeping on the job. Yeah. And so it was very hard for me to have security when it was unreliable. And so
Well, seeing how it is that you are currently being investigated by the Biden DOJ, and seeing how it is that apparently you've got staffers who've been falling asleep, according to your own words, on the job, and people who are not showing up to work, I highly doubt that your campaign, I highly doubt that your operation is being ran with the utmost integrity.
Sure, I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. There are too many people that need help right now for me to allow that. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety.
The wealthy should pay their fair share.
Yes, wealthy should pay their fair share.
What is a fair share? What percentage?
So you're saying that you're saying that they're paying their fair share is what you're saying?
No, I'm asking what percentage is a fair share?
Their fair share, the same. If a third of my money is going to taxes, then I think a third of their money should be going to taxes. Well, it does.
I'm trying to understand, because you realize the effective tax rate on the poor is less than it is on the rich, right?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not the poor. I'm very close to that line, but I'm not the poor.
Okay, so the effective tax rate on the middle class is less than it is on the rich, correct?
So let's say the wealthy 1% could pay, let's say if they paid, let's just give them 45%.
Okay, well, you guys obviously got a bit of a montage there, seeing exactly how insane this woman is. Oh, by the way, Cori Bush, while she is in fact under investigation by the Biden DOJ, which, by the way, should tell you right there, this is obviously some pretty bad stuff here, I think it's a part of a bigger scheme, so make sure you guys stick around for the full video. Don't worry, we'll go through Cori Bush, but also Ilhan Omar as well, and the rest of the members of the squad. Now, I'm going to leave this video right here in the description box for you guys, or in the comment section. It'll definitely be in the end card for you guys to click on. This right here is about Jamal Bowman, because there's actually a lesser-known story going around about his old 9/11 blog. We'll talk a little bit about this. And, of course, him being a member of Congress from New York, this is obviously going to be a bit of a problem. But I think that the entire squad itself is about to get primaried, minus maybe one or two. The one or two who probably won't be affected, of course, include Ayanna Pressley and AOC, because their districts are so daggone blue that you probably can't get rid of them. But still, for the moment in time, I'll digress. So the thing is this right here. Cori Bush right now is currently under investigation. Currently under investigation by the Biden Department of Justice, because she chose to, let's just say, mishandle and misuse certain funds. Those funds, of course, being to cover her personal protection. Basically, what this person has been doing is she's been using campaign funds, all that type of stuff, to actually pay for bodyguards. Now, this right here on the surface doesn't really seem like it's that big of a deal, but still, it's actually illegal. And the fact that the Biden DOJ is actually pursuing this should be a bit of a red flag. But before we go any further, I want to go ahead and say this. There are two members of the U.S. House that last night voted not to ban Hamas from the country. Now, think about this really quick. Only two House members who voted not to ban Hamas terrorists from the United States, or anybody being a part of Hamas here in the United States. Only two. That was Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush. I'm pretty sure that there's a certain political action group that's probably saying, look, this person gets no money from us, and of course, we're not going to give you any money until you actually primary them out. I'm just putting the name up here on the screen. I'm not going to say it because obviously YouTube's terms of service, but still at the same time, you guys can obviously see where I'm going at with this. But let's go ahead and look at some of this stuff.
Department of Justice is reviewing my campaign spending on security services. We are fully cooperating with this investigation, and I would like to take this opportunity to outline the facts and the truth. Since before I was sworn into office, I have endured relentless threats to my physical safety and life. As a rank and file member of Congress, I am not entitled to personal protection by the House and instead have used campaign funds as permissible to retain security services. I have not used any federal tax dollars for personal security services. Any reporting that I have used funds for personal security is simply false. In recent months, right-wing organizations have lodged baseless complaints against me, peddling notions that I have misused campaign funds to pay for personal security services. That simply is not true. I have complied with all applicable laws and House rules and will continue to prioritize the rules that govern us as federal elected officials. In particular, the nature of these allegations have been around my husband's role on the campaign.
Just good staff. What was happening? We had, we couldn't pay the big costs for security like some of my colleagues are able to do. Yeah. And so we went with what we could afford. It worked out for a while, but then we started having call-offs, people just not showing up to work, people sleeping on the job. Yeah. And so it was very hard for me to have security when it was unreliable. And so what was happening was Courtney would fill in. He would volunteer. And sometimes he would even when he was there and they were working, he would say, hey, you should be standing over here. Right. Hey, you should be doing that. And so he was volunteering a lot of his time. And then we had someone who was kind of leading the group.
In that Joy Reid situation there, that little interview, which is what I want to focus on real quick, you actually made the situation a lot worse. Basically, what you said was you're not competent enough to handle a staff. You said that you're not competent to handle employees. Also, to go on top of this, you allowed said employees to fall asleep, call in. That tells me that you had a bunch of lazy people working for you. That right there is what the hell it really says. It says that you're just a bad overall leader. It says that you're a bad boss. It says that you don't exactly hold people accountable. But then again, though, I honestly don't think you hold yourself accountable because, let's be honest, the only reason why you even got into Congress was for the fame and the fortune, or the fortune that does not exist, because apparently all that little fortune that you have is about to be gone. So, yeah, you kind of see that the real reason why she's in this situation is not just because she's a loon and she's crazy, but obviously because she's not competent either. Of course, Byron Donalds, he kind of lays down a hammer here.
Well, my first reaction is, how come, you got security money? And look, I want every member of Congress to be safe. Let me first say that. But you're spending security money. I don't have security money. I'm not spending it. I know a lot of my colleagues don't, male or female. That's number one. Number two, again, like you said, the rules are good for everybody else, but not for her. She wants to be protected at all time, but she's leaving so many of her fellow citizens basically at the lurch of criminals where there's no police around. Third part is, they're quick to try to defame President Trump on so many of these trumped up charges. Meanwhile, mishandling of funds to the point where the Department of Justice is having to investigate it.
And right there is going to be a shooting star of the Republican Party is all I've got to say. Byron Donalds is going to be one hell of a politician. And he's right. It's BS. She should have been got rid of a long time ago rather than going after a former president who's no longer in office, who, quite frankly, is under fire over what? The First Amendment? Now, really quick, it's not exactly ironclad that it is actually even her husband who's actually in charge here, but definitely somebody else. I'm going to leave this video here in the description box as well. I hope you guys check that video out. It's pretty good. It has a lot of the receipts that, quite frankly, I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is not so much the incident itself. I'm talking about more or less what the establishment's actually trying to do with these people, so that way you guys can know that what's really going on here is that they want to purge said members of the squad because it hurts them long term, and it hurts them obviously going forward in the election, especially with the Israel-Gaza situation going on, because as you guys know, the squad is obviously extremely pro-Hamas. If that little vote right there I showed you didn't say enough to you, I don't know what the hell will. Fact of the matter is certain money, certain groups that got to pay certain congressmen to actually get them elected for their interests. And obviously these right here actually hurt not just themselves, but they hurt the entire party as a whole. That right there is pretty much what the hell is going on here. Your staff, and of course she went on Joy Reid because obviously she needed to get some form of, some form of cover, because Joy Reid's always going to play the racial narrative. So your excuse is that you hired all these people because the staff that you had there was crap. That sounds to me like you were just a bad boss. People really and truly didn't want to work for you. And what I mean by bad boss is that you allow people to get lazy. There's another stereotype there I don't want to mention, or else they will violate YouTube's terms of services. But of course, this right here can go anywhere and everywhere. The thing is this right here. It's pretty obvious that you guys can see from there that this entire campaign is all about blaming white men, blaming conservatives, blaming anybody who's on the right, blaming anybody who does not agree with me. Blame Israel while you're at it too. That right there is what the hell this right here really and truly is. It just boils down to boohoo, whining, and crying, and I got to play the race card. Obviously, this person has never had any integrity. This is the same woman who turned right back right after screaming, defund the police constantly, goes out there and hires a bunch of security guards for herself, and then turns right back right and says, well, you don't want me to get killed, do you? The thing is this right here. Cori Bush, a lot like Ilhan Omar, and don't worry, I'll play what she said here. This same said person, this right here is a person that, quite frankly, has been covered and been shielded by the Democratic Party and the media. And as you guys can obviously see, this right here is no longer the case. But let's talk about Omar. Ilhan Omar is definitely one of the most radical members, maybe the most radical member of Congress. I mean, it's kind of a toss-up between her and Ayanna Pressley, because Rashida Tlaib is just an angry chick, but don't worry, I'll talk more about her towards the end because she's going to be affected by this as well. And of course, you guys are obviously seeing why a certain political action group is not exactly like these people's views. I don't like these people's views either. All their ideas are absolutely terrible. Israel's an actual ally, and these people preach the whole anti-Semitism stuff every single day, constantly, because they're actual, literal anti-Israel, anti-Semites. Now, I know somebody's probably going to say it's not so, well, we'll just leave that for now. But the thing is this right here. We know how bad these individuals are. Pretty much everybody in the world can agree upon this, and even including some Democrats. Ilhan Omar, on the other hand, she gets caught saying this crap here.
Inay Somali yihiin, inay Muslim yihiin, oo iyagana isku hiiliya, dadka walaalahoodna u hiiliya. Marka daraad markii ayaan dhexdaas markii aan maqalnay in qaar Soomaali ah ama Soomaali sheegato in Ethiopia ay la galeen ma baqaan af Soomaali wixii lagu dhaho agreement heshiis Maxamuud Nuur hadda aniga Soomaaliga badiyo soo ceeb ma aha dad badan ay soo wacay oo waxay leeyihiin ilhaan dawladda Mareykanka inaan la hadashid waaye dawladda Mareykanka maxay ka qabanaysaa jawaabteedu waxay ahayd dawladda Mareykanka waxay ka qabanaysaa wixii annaga aan dhahno dawladda Mareykanka qabo waa kalsoonidaas inaan isku qabno annaga Soomaali hadii aan nahay wadankan annaga ku nool wadankan wadankii aan annaga tax ka dhiibno waaye waa wadankii gabar idinka dhalatayne ee Congress ka fadhiso intii aniga aan Congress joogo wadanka Soomaaliya biyaheeda dad kaleeta iyo badeeda dad kale ma qaadan.
Was an Arab, that was in Somali. You kind of can't understand what she's saying, but still at the same time, it's pretty obvious that you can see she wasn't exactly here to help out America. She came here to enrich her previous nation. You see, a lot of people are looking at this situation and they're automatically thinking to themselves that maybe the Dems are eating their own. No, that's not what the hell is going on here. What the Democratic Party is doing, what I said in the previous video, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get rid of members of the squad who hurt them long term and hurt them right now at this moment in time. You see, if the current Democratic Party, if Joe Biden of course, if he's the president, of course, as you guys know, if he is in office, he has got to keep up the allure that he's pro-Israel, that he's pro-Benjamin Netanyahu. Of course, him donating billions of dollars to Iran should tell you right there that he's obviously playing both sides. He's bought and paid for. And of course, him giving money to Hamas terrorists, which of course they keep telling you is the Palestinians, but we all know where it's going. This is actually a bit of a, let's just say that's a bit of a sign out there that he really and truly is not pro-Israel. I know maybe sound a little bit like Ben Shapiro here, but quite frankly, I don't care. I'm just calling what it is. Then obviously he can't have these type of crazies in his ranks. So what do? You try to primary these crazies out. Now, AOC has not been as vocal recently, and neither has Ayanna Pressley. As a matter of fact, Ayanna Pressley has been, for the most part, muzzled. She's got other things to worry about, like demanding reparations out of Walgreens for leaving Boston or leaving a certain area of Massachusetts, so an area in her actual district. The thing is this right here. Muslim Americans right now are not happy with the Biden administration. And right now there is this 50-state coalition amongst Muslim Americans not to show up and vote. They've said they're not going to vote in the upcoming election cycle. Now, me personally, I don't think it helps out Biden at all regardless, because I don't think they're going to be voting Democrat, period. I think they're going to be staying home because obviously the party that's in power is the Democrat. Obviously, the party that talked most about a two-state solution but never got anything done was the Democratic Party. The party that actually initially endorsed Israel as a nation, believe it or not, was actually the Democratic Party. Harry Truman was the president at the time. Of course, that was all the UN and Great Britain and all that stuff there, but still at the same time, they're beginning to get fed up with the Democratic Party as a whole. So if they don't show up and vote, then obviously Rashida Tlaib in her district, which is right around Dearborn, Michigan, it's affected. They may primary her out. They may get rid of her. This is one of the ways that they do this. Cori Bush, while she is in a very, very blue district in Missouri, she's already receiving a primary challenger who's actually doing very well against her. And then to go on top of that, you've got Ilhan Omar, like you saw. She is in a district that's pretty heavily Muslim, but they don't plan on voting. And now she's talking about Somalia first. It's very possible this person could get primaried out. So everything that you're seeing right now with Cori Bush getting investigated, this right here is all part of a greater scheme to get these crazies out. While it is definitely fun to see these people scream, holler, whine, and cry, boohoo, whine, and cry, and try to play the whole racism card to say that right-wing bad, even though a comment like this right here was absolutely hilarious.
And Congressman Troy Nell said about this question of whether Cori Bush really needed security. Listen.
She doesn't even support the police. But the idea to pay her thug money to try to help protect her, this and that, for what? Maybe if she wouldn't be so loud all the time, maybe she wouldn't be getting threats.
Are you saying she deserves to be threatened?
No, what I'm saying is that when you're out there talking the way she does, I'm surprised that people are probably pretty upset because she's a pretty radical. She's pretty radical. And maybe she should tone it down a little bit.
You want to call it racist? I call it absolutely spot on and absolutely hilarious. This woman runs her mouth too daggone much. Okay, that there's a reason why she's in this situation. Now, granted, while I do not want people like this in Congress, I have to tell you that at the end of the day, they typically tend to kind of do it to themselves. I think that that's really what the congressman from Texas is saying. Oh, before I forget, there is one more thing to discuss before I go to the final minute and a half to close this video out. And it's Kink's nephew, Hassan Abi. Now, if you know who Hassan Abi is, Hassan Piker, Jink's nephew, Lassan, as some people call it, you already know that he's going to go ahead and jump to racism, or this is racist that they're doing this. I just want him to know right now that he voted for this. He supported this. He supported the current regime, and obviously the current regime is getting rid of the people that he loves the most who scream racism and far-left radical BS the most. Even though this bougie prick, who, by the way, is a champagne socialist who's got millions of dollars already in his account, who constantly goes on about the downtrodden and whatnot, is not one to talk. This guy's not very bright, okay? Let me just go ahead and say this right now. He's not exactly what we call smart. As a matter of fact, this right here is exactly the point that I want to make. You see, the thing that you have to understand about these radical far leftists, and while it is that I would rather just expel these people from Congress and get rid of them because they're all, really, to tell you the truth, a bunch of loons. I think Ilhan Omar is probably the most treasonous of the group, and Rashida Tlaib is probably the most anti-American of the group, where Cori Bush, I think, really just got caught trying to find a way to enrich herself, because if you constantly listen to her run her mouth, you see the more and more that's about her. As a matter of fact, her entire apology there, she actually made it a lot worse when she went on Joy Reid. During that entire situation, she revealed that she was, as I mentioned earlier, incompetent. The fact that her staff falls asleep on her, the fact that not only does her staff fall asleep, they answer every single stereotype that people actually give to people that, quite frankly, should not be given to certain people of a certain color, because those people do work hard. It's just the ones that come on out and run their mouth the most. They're typically the ones that always give the others a bad name. That right there is the real truth. But if you really and truly want to beat these people, the best thing you can do is just not give them any air. Just don't give them any attention. Don't give them any airtime at all. I mean, that right there is exactly what I would do if you really and truly want to beat the radical far left. Just walk away. Eventually, these people will find a way to eat themselves. Trust me, the infected always do it to themselves, and they're actually doing it right now. It just so happens to be that the Democratic Party establishment is the one who's giving them the boot. The fact of the matter is that what the hell is going on here is that the Democratic Party is trying to purge some of his own ranks. Now, will it work? I'm not so sure. But that right there is what the hell is really and truly going on in this case and in this scenario. Now, me personally, I believe all these chicks should be expelled, including Jamal Bowman. I mean, dude, you pulled a fire alarm in the Capitol building and you didn't get punished. Ilhan Omar screams anti-American stuff all the time and she never gets punished. Cori Bush is just, as you guys saw earlier, not very bright. She should have been gone a long time ago. Ayanna Pressley is probably the most hate-filled person I've ever seen in my life. Dude looks like freaking Debo from freaking Friday. She's got to go. AOC, while extremely dumb and extremely stupid every now and again, does provide us some form of comic relief, but still at the same time, we're probably not going to get rid of her. But Cori Bush, obviously, she's got to go. Ilhan Omar's got to go. Rashida Tlaib's got to go. And the Democratic Party obviously knows this because they cannot sustain themselves long term. So what's happened is that they've actually found something that, quite frankly, she should have been punished for a long time ago, and they've obviously chosen to strike. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. This video here is probably going to get released late tonight. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.